Welcome to my YouTube channel. Subscribe for uplifting gospel content. Here we explore faith, share inspiring stories, dive into powerful teachings, and celebrate the love of God. Whether you are seeking encouragement, biblical insights, or a deeper connection with your faith, you are in the right place. Join us as we grow together in grace, spread hope, and embrace the gospel's life changing power. Hit the subscribe button and let's journey through God's word together. One inspiring message at a time. Disclaimer: this channel does not support any act of violence towards any man of God or any person in particular. So please kindly make your comments with respect for the community and with love for one another. Thank you as you do so. God bless you always.
When the both of you were getting married, no family member was there. Tell us the story behind that.
No.
Neither side.
Okay, so should I go
Yes,
first?
yes.
All right. So the reason why there was none of my family member is like a couple of reasons. There's a lot of reasons why my family member were not there. And I'll just like to touch a little bit about my background so that we can have a bit of knowledge about where I'm coming from. So my mom and dad got separated when I was barely 2 years. And I can't even remember much of the things that happened before I was 2 years old. But what I can really remember is that the first day my dad introduced our stepmom to us, he just asked us, "Do you like this woman? She bought me something." I was like, "Yes." So the very first day she came to the house and slept, that day I woke up in the middle of the night and me and my brother, we sleep like on the floor. And then my dad sleeps on the bed because at that time we're still like bedwetting and all of that. So when I woke up, I now saw on my brother heaps of cockroaches. This is not a dream, like it was physical. I saw like heaps of cockroaches on him. And I was like, what's going on? I tried waking him up. And my dad is a light sleeper. So I tried waking my dad up. He was not waking up. Then I noticed that on his bed, I saw earthworms. It was so much. And then I was scared. Then I ran to the kitchen. I saw different kinds of animals. Then I went to our room. I don't know why they were not actually sleeping in the same room because he brought her in, he married her. Then when I went to her room, I saw that her room was fine. The light was on and she was just sitting down and like stiff. And then I was trying to talk to her. She was not responding. So I ran to sleep on her bed because I was afraid. And she was very nice to me. And then suddenly I slept off and I just woke up to her beating me actually like I should go back to my room. And then we woke up. Ever since then, she changed towards me.
Were you sleeping?
This is not this. Till we woke up, everybody were trying to do morning devotion. I was still seeing the earthworm on my dad's bed. But something was restraining me from trying to point and show like, this is what I'm seeing.
Hold on. You were seeing the earthworms on his bed.
Yes, sir.
But he wasn't seeing.
He was not seeing it. And it's like, I don't know what happened. Everybody was so asleep. My dad asleep. Everybody. So I saw those things. And even it traumatized me for a while that I hated cockroaches, earthworm, all those things. I hated them.
You should do. Sorry. You met her seated.
Yes. Like
in
this.
What posture?
She was just seated straight. Her eyes was closed and she was not moving. She was not even responding to me. I was trying to talk to her.
She sat down.
Yes.
Like in deep meditative state.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And what is funny is that this experience is when I was like 3 years old, but I can't forget it. It is like something I can't forget. It is like an experience of, I can forget many things of when I was little.
Yeah.
Not even 3. I think I was around 4 or like around 5. But it's something I cannot forget. It just sticks with me. I'll remember randomly even growing up that this thing really happened to me. And then I became very traumatized with cockroaches. I became very afraid. And then she hated me because she was nice to me, buying me biscuits and all of that. Then the next day during that morning devotion, she just changed, became very, very harsh on me and my brother. And to now crown it up, my dad was a Deeper Life member. So as a lady, I don't plait my hair. I'm always skinning my hair. She was also an MFM member. I skinned my hair and then no earring. Then we are not permitted to watch TV. We are not permitted to play with friends. If they go out, they lock us inside the house. So we had this very strict life and then my dad was also equally very strict, very, very disciplined and strict. My dad does not smile, does not say, "How are you? Hello." My dad, if he's coming back from work, we pretend like we're sleeping. We fall on the floor and then we sleep off in that process because you must get in trouble. If you talk to him or you're awake, your presence alone will get you in trouble. So we're very like careful around my dad. If dad is coming, everybody's on the floor. Everybody's pretending to sleep. And then also another thing I noticed is that the food she gave us, The food she gave us, like there was a day I got third position. They gave me an egg as a gift. It was like the biggest thing ever, boiled egg. It was the biggest thing ever. That's how bad it was. I take eba and beans to school. I take all those kind of food that I can't open my food in class because of my friends who laugh at me. And we're attending a very good school where everybody's eating this and that. But the kind of food we ate was very strange.
Sorry, I'm quite worried. Eba and beans, like one is the starter, or what was that?
So it's like leftover food, maybe the eba that remained from the night, and then beans on top of it. I'm not even joking. I can't forget this experience. We ate a lot of, I can't explain it.
Were you going for any sacrificial work, any sacrifice, something?
No, sir.
Not about to sacrifice or worship any deity?
No.
They pour the beans on top of the eba?
Yes, on top of the eba. And I don't eat my food at school. And I think that resulted to me into begging. I did like a lot where my friends are eating, and I didn't even fit in. We are attending a very big school that it's like owned by whites. And then we always do morning devotion for like an hour, 30 minutes in the morning. Till school time is past. We are there praying, doing morning devotion as she's leading, and you can't say you want to go and dress up. So I can't remember. I remember meeting assembly once when I was little. Assembly, like once. We're always late. They'll beat us for late coming, beat us for all those things like in school. So I didn't fit into school. I was always late. I didn't have time. The morning devotion, I can't even now that I'm grown is when I remember why 1 hour, 30 minutes. By 8 o'clock, we're still doing morning devotion before she now releases us to go ahead and do other things. So
you have to talk about when she thought that you took or stole food.
Oh yeah.
When she what?
She thought that you stole food, yeah?
Oh, the reason why I have this 3 mark on my forehead. Yeah. So there's this permanent mark I have on my forehead. I don't know if I'll be leaving a picture if it's obvious, because by the grace of God, I don't know, it has started to clear off my face. And one of them looks like the map of Africa. The one down. So when I was like around that 5 years old or 6, so she gave me that same beans and eba to school. And then I went to school, and that particular day, I remember my teacher needing a cooler to buy food in school, and then she took my cooler and bought food. So there was rice inside the cooler. And then I got home, they were about to wash plates. And of course, my brother, at the age of 5, I was washing my clothes. At the age of 6, like I remember then, my neighbors would bring their children, come and see them. They are washing their clothes at this age. I was working already at those age because nobody would do it for me. So my brother, both of us were very close. He does things for me. I do things for him. And he was just like 2.5 years older than me. So that day I got back, we're about to wash plates. Of course, we're all in the kitchen washing plates. You dare not sit down when everybody's in the kitchen trying to work like that. And then she saw rice inside the cooler, and she started saying, "Oh, you begged for food." I said, "No, I did not beg for food." And I can't even talk to her. That's how she started beating me. This beating was different from the other beatings. She beat me. I was running to the parlor. She would come there and beat me. Then at a point she was beating me, my head was close to the wall. She just hit the head to the wall, boom. And that was all I had, and I passed out. So I woke up like after 3 days in the hospital. I was on oxygen. It was like I passed out completely. And the first thing I just saw was my elder brother was sitting close to me, and he was shaking his head. He was shaking his head. I said, "What happened?" He said, "Oh, your face is disfigured." I didn't expect this early. Sorry. I'm sorry, sir.
Okay.
Oh, please.
If I know.
Hold on a minute. She hit your head while beating you against the wall.
My head was close to the wall and with so much force.
At what age?
I was around 5 or 6 at that age. I was really very young.
Maybe if in case, permit me, let me use the word peradventure, someone watching this might doubt this experience. Sometimes people feel when people share their stories that maybe they are not sharing accurate perspective. I think, and the reason why this is so touching to me, I can't stand children being maltreated. I have a mark behind my head. I was 5 when I was choke slammed against the wall, lifted from my neck and thrown off my feet against the wall. So I know these things are real. And I also know that the trauma doesn't go away in a while. It takes time.
Mm-hmm.
So you woke up and find yourself in the hospital.
In the hospital on oxygen, and my brother was looking at me. And
Elder brother.
yes, it was in the night. I'll not forget the way he shook his head. Like my face was disfigured. So what happened is that my forehead was very swollen than normal, really very swollen.
Yeah.
I don't know the whole medical case, but I know I was on oxygen, and it was a miracle because I could hear people like neighbors saying, you could have died though. You could have died, this and that and all of that. So my face was swollen for a very long time, and gradually started going down, but then it's left. This mark was really bad when I was little, very bad on my forehead. And the mark, it's bad because I will have to always be reminded of it, because people in my class bullied me at a time. They will call me 4 eyes and 2 nose, and I'll start crying, and they'll say like, this is my extra 2 eyes and all of that. And also I have another mark on my forehead where hair does not grow, and that day she was beating me with belts, and so the iron of a belt scratched my head and scratched the scalp off, and so that particular place
took off the scalp.
Yes, that place. So blood was gushing out really bad that day, and even till now, hair does not grow on that particular spot. So, just many experiences like that. You know, when we watch all this Nollywood movie, that the stepmom is very wicked against the daughter. That's exactly my story. I have so many that I can share of beatings. And to make the matter worse, my dad is like that. So my dad, he didn't really do that to me specifically, but my brother, oh my God. That was the reason why when my mom came to pick us, when they got to human trafficking, those people started screaming that my dad is wicked. They didn't even want to hear what happened again. When they opened the back of my brother, signs of belt and cane, different things was on his body, tears. The marks were there. My brother, when we were little, he ran away from home many times. At the age of 6, he would go for 1 week, could not see him. Then somebody would now bring him and start preaching to my dad. My dad would say, okay, but that night he would tie him to the fan and beat. So me, I'm always sleeping. I'll be awake, but I have to pretend like I'm sleeping when he's beating him and all of that, so that I will not be part of it. But I watched all those things happen, like him beating him so badly. We tie him up.
So if I may ask a question, when you woke up and find yourself in the hospital, did your stepmother agree that she did that to you?
According to what my brother said, my dad was angry at her, and she even had to leave the house for 3 days. So, and people came, like they came to like talk to her and all of that. So it's not something that even my dad, nobody can deny this. It happened. My brother is a witness. People around are a witness. And she did not say she did not do it. But to her, it's like I begged for food, and that was why she was beating me. So it's like a mistake.
Did you beg for the food?
I can't remember begging for it, but I remember specifically that day my teacher asked for my cooler, and I don't know what she did with it. But I know, of course, yes, that time if my friends are eating, I joined them, but not to the point of me collecting it into my own plate.
Probably your teacher had seen that what you were eating wasn't good, and then the teacher decided to help. Wow. Please continue.
Okay, so then it got to a point I knew she was not my mom, because my brother remembers our mom, and so he would sit down and always talk to me about my mom and all of that. We're very close, Brafivo. We're so close. So he would tell me many things about her. So I used to also equally think my dad is not my dad, until when I was 7 years old, we were having a conversation. So Anna said, you always talk about our mom, talk about our dad. How is he and all of that? Then he said, this is our dad. That day, I was like, I don't believe you. He said, this is our dad. My dad came back home, and I would just be peeping and looking at him. I'm like, I used to think I lived with an uncle and an auntie. Probably, maybe I'm an orphan or something, all this village story or something. But how can that be my dad? I didn't have a childhood. I don't have a childhood of like playing or doing anything. All I know is beating, strictness. We're very robotic. You can't smile. You can't, There's a way we're conditioned in that house. It was so terrible that even when my stepmom started having children, the children were the one that take care of them, because I was small. I was at 7 that time. I'll have to carry the child all the time, have to do all this taking care of. The children, there was a day she was beating me. One of the son held her leg and started crying. That was how bad it is. Like, and I now noticed she was giving us different food for my children. It was, but I don't know why. When I was little that time, I loved them so much that even when I left that time, it was them I was thinking about. That I just wanted to be around them. Or the one that raised them and all of that. But I used to think that's how we're to be raised. But I noticed that the food she would give us is actually different from the food she would give the child. To the extent that if me and my brother, there was one particular night that she gave us spaghetti. It is like a luxury food in the house, very small, and we have to share it. me and my brother, we fought for that food that day. I'm like, you're eating too much, We really fought because it's like luxury. Maltina is like luxury. Egg, all those things are like luxury. We ate in fact, there was one time her sister came to stay in the house and her sister cooked Indomie for us when she was not around. They fought that the sister had to leave the house.
For those watching, in case you don't know what Indomie means, that's Nigerian way of calling noodles. Noodles, you know. They fought because noodles was made.
For me, for us that time. She made noodles when the woman was not around against her instruction. So they fought and she left the house and I never saw that aunt till today. Because the aunt was actually very, very nice. She was also nice to us at that time. And she barely stayed a week in the house when she left. So there were so many instances like that. And I remember one time when we were little that, she would leave her child with us and maybe go out and go to the market and all of that. One day she just came home and was like, oh yeah, she knows her baby has been crying because she was dashing her foot a lot against the stone. I used to have that mentality till I grew up that maybe if a mother's child is crying, you dash your foot. But I don't know how she knows, but she said her child is crying, she was hitting her leg, all those kind of stuff. So it's now that I'm grown that I can link those things and say, no, this thing, there is a reason for me to see that vision I saw the first time. This is an open one. It's not like I dreamt about it. I saw it with my 2 eyes. And even when I came to Christ, I had an experience where, it's like I in a dream, I went back to that same experience. So I started killing the cockroaches on my brother. And she said, who sent me? And then we fought. And I woke up to 2 lines on my body. Something I can never forget. Something I was little. I can never forget that experience that happened to me. So
growing up with all this experience as a young lady, how did you cope? How did you recover from the trauma? What was it like?
It was a lot. And the thing is that I think we in Nigeria, we're not really taught things about mental health or trauma. So
True.
I did not know I had trauma. I just know that, number one, I realized I did not fit in anywhere. It's like when I'm in my class, people always bully me. It's very easy for me to be timid and be afraid of people. Sorry, sir.
It's okay. You're talking about when you were in secondary school, right?
Yeah.
It's okay.
Even when I was in primary school, that one I did not even fit in at all. But in secondary school, I will always be afraid of people. In the class, it's like I'm the one that is the most very timid. The moment somebody starts raising their voice at me. Okay, I'm sorry.
No, you're okay, baby.
It's okay.
Okay. Can I clean my face?
Mm-hmm.
To be looking like this. So there is actually one experience from that time that actually really touched me for a long time that it was hard for me to forget. The day my mom came to pick us up.
From your dad?
Yes. So what happened that day, a night before, for the first time, I ran away from home because my dad was beating me and he pursued me in the street. I ran out because of the beating. He pursued me to the market and I ran. So people will not come out and try to help us and be talking to you, why are you behaving like this? So I ran and then I came back towards the house, but I did not want to go inside the house because I knew it would tie me up in the night. So I stayed around the car and I slept outside that night. And the next morning he went to work. So I quickly came to the house. I was talking to my brother. Then one woman just came and said, I'm looking for blessing and favor at Kirala. The moment she mentioned that name, I knelt down. And I was like, what did we do? I don't know why. I was like this because everybody in the streets came out. Like they know my mom. Everybody in the street came out. So I knelt down. I said, what did we do? She said, I am your mother. The way I stood up and hugged her.
You did not know?
I did not know. I did not know. Everybody in the streets came out. They were like, take your children. Take your children. I was like, I was afraid because the way everybody came out, I said, maybe I've done something again. I'm in trouble. And then when she said, I am your mother, the way I hugged her, I did not let her go. So my brother, at that time, now went to go inside and call my dad because we had this telephone and my dad's office is not far. Now I told him, there's a woman here. She said, she's my mother and all of that. So because my mom knew my dad is coming, because she was prepared to fight, she brought knives, she brought different things to fight him. And then she took us. She took only me that day because before my dad could come, she was like, let's go. So she took me that day, gave me good food for the first time and all of that. And then my brother now told us a story that night when I left, my dad bought Martina for the first time for the whole house and said, let's celebrate the absence of blessing. Something that even when we're there, it's a luxury. We don't get to drink things like that.
Celebrate the absence of blessing as what? Why?
I don't know.
Have you spoken with her dad before?
No, sir.
Do you have a relationship with him at all?
Never spoke to him at all, even on the phone. They've actually only spoke, once since we've gotten married. And it wasn't good. So.
Your mom took you where?
She actually took me to a friend's place that she knew in Abuja because she was not based in Abuja at that time. So she took me somewhere. I know it was a very big house. For the first time, I was seeing television. I could sit down and just watch, and I could eat good food, rice and stew. I cannot forget. Then she bought me earrings. She was like, "You look like a boy." You know, she bought me trousers. That was the first time. The way we dressed, I skinned my hair. I don't even leave a little bit of hair. It was a sin to him to watch TV, for you to wear earring and all of those things. So it was like she bought me trousers that day, took me to market and all of that. So I was very young that time, but she was going through the process. She went to human trafficking and all of that. So she took my dad to court. And even till today, sometimes those human trafficking calls my brother to check up on him and all of that, because they told the two of them that they are not handing over us to any of them, that we are government properties.
Wow. How did you and your brother reunite?
So after my mom spent like a week, she went to court and all of that. So my brother too, he knew that he was supposed to follow her. Him too, he wanted to leave and all of that. So when we went to court, we wrote statements. So it was very easy. If you just open my brother's back, there's evidence. My forehead, there's evidence. So it's not like anything. So we wrote statement, me and my brother.
Yeah.
We wrote the statement. My brother was still very afraid of my dad. Like, it has been very conditioned. But me, because the previous night, I even had issues with him. I wanted to leave. So my brother did not want to write me. I wrote and everything. So when they did the testifying and all of that, my brother remembered my mom very clearly. So my mom was able to gain our custody in the court that day. And when she gained our custody, she took us to Zaria. So we left his place. And after that court stuff, we saw him just once. And that once we saw him was like for a day. And that's like 13 years ago till today. I've not set my eyes on him.
Hold on a minute. Since the moment the court asked your mom to take custody of you guys, till now, you've not seen him?
Not set my eyes on him.
It's never called? Or he reached out, but he didn't want to talk to you?
No, it took time. So when we left, the sad part is that when we went to Zaria, that was during the time there was Boko Haram a lot. So I think I was 10 years then. My mom now said we should all go to Lagos. So she pushed our children to Lagos. She was alone in Zaria. So that was another phase of another thing, living with people. Because I barely stayed with her a year when she pushed us again to Lagos. And that was another story entirely, another phase of having to live with different people, and different kind of treatment. So during that time, I did not know that there's anything like trauma. I didn't know that there's anything like all this stuff. But I just noticed that, number one, why can't I fit in? And then I used to feel like nobody loves me. I used to feel like I'm a problem. I carry that thing everywhere. Thank God for Christ. It is the love of Christ that has really changed me a lot. Then I carry that thing everywhere, that if I'm somewhere, I just feel like, I'm a problem already. Maybe I'll do something wrong or something like that. Because growing up, people were complaining about me. Is it that my sister, is it not my sister, my auntie, maybe they'll talk about, oh, why are you walking like this? They'll make fun of the way I walk, make fun of the way I talk. Oh, you cannot sing. So all those things. And I felt like I'm a load of problems. So in class, they'll also always bully me. I do not have friends. I'll be trying to have friends, but some people say 4 eyes, 2 nose. They'll laugh at me at this opportunity. And I was not bold enough to defend myself or talk about or know that this is a normal thing. So I felt it was something peculiar to me. So all through, I was afraid of people. I was feeling like they'll beat me very soon. Like if someone raised their voice, I'll just be. And then I had people pleasing. Then I had this low self-esteem, very low self-esteem. I was always trying to please people, trying to make them like me and all of that. So I just had those things.
I'd like for you to talk a bit about the people pleasing part, because I think that's the part people don't know about recovering from the traumatic experience of a dysfunctional background. I think people need to know that, where because you have been conditioned to see yourself as not good enough, you feel you have to earn people's love by displeasing yourself.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes, sir. So I really had that a lot. I could not say no. And I'm just grateful to God, because I used to think about it. I'm like, I didn't even have any experience like rape or something, because it can only be God. I couldn't say no to people. I don't want to do things. I'm like that pushover. Even till when I was in aviation school, I was at around 18 then.
Wow.
I was in aviation school. So in aviation school, you had to wear white shirts and black trousers. I would wash all the girls' clothes. They'll bring their top for me to wash. And because I'm trying to make them like me, there's nothing for them to like me. So I will sit down and be washing their clothes. And we are all like adults, we are colleagues and all of that. Wow. And I'll sit down to wash their clothes. I'll just want to please people. They'll send me. I was that pushover. They'll send me, go and do this, go and do this. And I was matured enough. They'll send me, but I cannot say no. I'll just want to do everything to please people, even though I'm not fine. I just want people to be fine. I'll just keep doing things like that. So I really went in that lane of trying to please people.
I remember you sent me a DM when you listened to Dysfunctional Background. What was it like for you when you heard that message?
Especially like one of the message I used to listen to you as at that time, because first and foremost, I had a brother, Jeff, that always posted you, and I don't know why. I was just following your messages, and then I would just follow short reels and all of that as at that time. But then I had a dream of the church itself coming to Kano. So that was when I started listening. Even PPC, the first day PPC start, I was always following. If I'm going to work, I'll be inside kicking up and I'm listening to you till I get to work and all of that. So the gamophobia was actually one day I was washing clothes, and that teaching, I think you said things like, oh, you also add the fear of marriage. And that was now, yes. And that was now the period that also my husband was already talking to me about marriage, and we're already like planning, in the process of planning, but I was having so much fears. And even dysfunctional background, all those messages, listening to it, I don't know. I think, like you said, healing is like a process, because I used to think like in Christ, I've actually healed from so many things. But one of the things I noticed I did was that I hide a lot from people, because I realized that, okay, since I'm trying to please people, since I'm going through all of this, so I did not let people come close to me. So I did not know that thing is still there. It's better I be around people and let me heal. So I pushed people off and felt I was fine, because I didn't have to go through that cycle. I'm not close to anybody, talk more of me, somebody trying to feel like that. So gradually, when I listened to that message, I realized that I would still break down in tears. And then little things like that, even in my relationship that time with my husband, little things like that, I now, God, what is going on? I felt like I have healed. That's when the Lord revealed to me that, you just push it off. I put that part behind me and not going through the process one after the other to heal from all those things. So it was like, I'm still in the process of healing. I know that God has healed me completely, and I'm grateful for the gift of my husband, because his love, with the love of God coupled with the love of my husband, has really been very great for me.
Were you once gamophobic?
Very, very, very.
What was it like?
Okay, so
by the way, gamophobia is the fear of commitment, fear of marriage. When you see people who have gamophobia, they dread the idea of committing themselves to anyone in marriage. I remember years back when I was still gamophobic, I never successfully attended any wedding. Attending a wedding was like attending an event where they want to sentence someone to death. And I will be there shivering and looking at the guys getting married. Like, what kind of a fool gets married? Why? And they'll be making commitment. I hereby give you my vow till death do us part. And I'm like, do you know what you are talking about? And that was happening because the only marriage I've seen was nothing to write home about. So usually that's the root of gamophobia, and there could be other things. And that's why I like to specifically recommend my book, and they're going to put it on the screen for you to see, from dysfunctionality. All right. I'd like for you to specifically, get the book. There's another one in that's coming out soon also, which is titled Gilead. All right. It's a deeper one, which is a deeper step to healing matters of the heart. And Gilead is going to really shake the world because, so I understand that part.
Mm-hmm.
But I want you to tell us your experience about it.
Okay. So for me, gamophobia, the problem is that I did not see any marriage in my family. That's my mom's side that I know, none of them. And the pattern they have is that they have children for more than one man. There are ones that have children for more than 4 men, like up to 4 men. So it's a pattern. How can 6 ladies, the same issue, at least more than 1 man, and they are beautiful. So like the last wedding that was recorded in that family was like 30 years ago. And the problem now is that marriage, there was no child. So they now used to say, oh, it's because they got married, they did not have kids. That
they should have given birth before getting married.
So my mom even said, she says that statement to me. I even thought it was a joke. She would say things like, oh, in their family, she knows what she knows, that she just gave birth to her children, did not bother about marriage. She knows what she knows. So she tells us those stories and say things like they used to give birth before they get married. And I started noticing that pattern. No marriage. I can't even think of my own family member is doing marriage. We have to wear clothes. Nothing. So it's something I could identify when I was little. And I was like, I did not want this to happen to me. So I knew it was when I came to Christ is when light was, I got understanding of so many things. I knew that, oh, this is a generational pattern. This is a generational curse. And I need to pray against it. And one of the things the Lord told me then, I was very little, was that, number one, if I want to actually get married, like God has said, I must follow every standard, which is walking in purity. Walking in purity. God will even tell me things like, if you try sexual immorality before you get married, he will kill me. He will tell me things like that. Those were the kind of words. So I had that fear. Like I knew that my life depended on this.
But just for the balance, I know now you know better. That God wasn't going to kill you.
Yes.
So sometimes we interpret words in context of our religious backgrounds.
Yes, sir.
So somebody somewhere would not feel, oh, I'm dead now, and condemnation is where the devil really traps us. But let's journey a bit so we can give this some direction. You were an air hostess. You did that for how many years?
About 4 years.
And you are still currently, you own an organization that train people?
Yes.
On the heart of protocols?
Yes.
Talk about that.
Okay, so I worked as a flight attendant for about 4 years. I flew domestically and internationally, and currently I'm running aviation coaching where I train people to become a flight attendant. And I'm currently writing my book on becoming a flight attendant. And then I'm also on the part of protocoling and customer service to also teach businesses and teach people to become that. And I aspire to be a pilot too. The same.
All right. So I'd like the media to project that's the link, that's the Instagram platform, so you can follow up, and then possibly if there's a number to call, also have it on the screen so we can follow up on that regard, and then you can recommend someone, and I can tell you that, all right, she's one of the best you can find around. So that's a personal recommendation from me, all right, because I know her, all right. But let's get to the other matter. On your wedding day, no family member was there.
No.
I could understand yours because you came all the way from where?
United States
of America.
Yes.
So I'm going to get into the story. How did you feel getting married to her and no family member was there, and you had the audacity to continue? What gave you that audacity?
Well, I know it's easy to say, like, the Lord told me.
Yeah, I want you to do something for me.
Yes.
All right. Try blend your English to make it quite Nigerian so people can understand. And I know I asked my people, the people listening are smart, but so that they can be able to pick you well. Yeah?
Okay. Yes. Well, we'd have to go back a little bit to
please.
know. Okay, so after we talked, I was a missionary. Okay, so I traveled to about.
How did you meet her?
She was. So I traveled in person on a missionary team, and we went about state to state in the United States doing missionary work.
Yes.
And then we went around the world. So I was able to go to 10 different countries.
Yes.
And she was a part of the online program where she was the head of the women within the ministry.
Okay.
So we had, hundreds of people we discipled online.
Oh, wow.
And they made her head of the women. So just because all of our men were leaders, and so we had blessing. So when I was in Japan, that's when we really started talking.
Yeah.
And yeah, so first I where should I start? Where I talked to you.
Yeah, you're following me on Instagram first.
Yes. So the first, my family knows that I'm not like woman crazy. Even when I was in the world, I wasn't following all these women. But the first time I saw my wife on Instagram, I knew it was my wife.
Hold on a minute. You saw her on Instagram?
I saw her on Instagram.
And you knew this is your wife?
Yes. And I've never DM'd a woman in my life. I don't DM women.
Was it settled in your mind you were going to marry a Nigerian before then?
No. I've never really been attracted to even Black women. I've never really thought maybe once I started traveling, maybe I could marry outside of the country, maybe, but I didn't know when. But as soon as I saw my wife, I reposted her video about her talking about the Lord, and I swiped up, and we really started talking actually through Telegram. That's when we actually really started talking. And
the dream.
Okay, so really random. Like I had a dream. I haven't talked to her yet at all. So I had a dream right before I was about to head to Japan that I was on stage and I was preaching in front of, a lot of people, like huge crusade. And one of my leaders at the time was next to me, but very random. Some girl that I just saw online was also on stage behind me. But
that's me. That's me.
Yes, that's my wife. Yes. So
oh, come again.
In the dream.
Did I not?
Okay. You said random.
Okay, sorry. But to me at the time it was random.
Okay.
Yes, but my wife was behind me.
Oh, really?
On the stage. So, and she was like in the air, twirling in the spirit. And there was like a dove going like this. So anyways, I knew that she was trying to come to Japan at the time to come join us. And I got a couple of different interpretations of the dream. But at the time, I called her and I wanted her to rest assured that if she's meant to come to Japan, that she'll come. That was the first time we ever spoke.
Yeah.
There was maybe a 1-minute phone call. So then as we go on, even my sister actually, now after we got married, said, I was at her house when I called Blessing. She told her husband that's Jay's wife. Because Jay would never do that.
Really?
Yes. So now a month later, I go to Japan and we really started talking on the phone and getting to know ourselves. And, at first we're just getting to know ourselves, telling how we came to the Lord, things like that. When I went to an administration where there was a man of God that was prophesying, we were praying, and to the point that I fell under the anointing. And he came over to me and and he started prophesying over my marriage. Now, this is the time when we're really speaking like 2 hours a day on the phone. I mean, really trying to talk as much as we could. And I then went into a vision. I went into this vision, and I've had this vision before where I'm like in a grass field. I'm in a field and I'm running. And I know in the dream that I feel like I'm in heaven. And there's like nothing like it. Except this time was different. Because I'm talking to my wife. So then I get smacked in the dream over by like this huge light. Just this huge light smacks me over on the ground to where the Lord told me, can I trust you with my daughter? That's what the Lord told me. And I was just texting and calling her. And I responded to the Lord, yes, in the dream. I was very scared. And then the Lord didn't say anything to me, but I could feel this, like, I was almost as like a dad, staring at you, like just struck to the core, like, okay, don't mess, don't mess with my daughter. And so after that happened, I came out of the vision. The man of God was still prophesying over my marriage. And I was like, wow, to where I got so scared of talking to Blessing.
Really?
I got so scared because I didn't want to mess, I've never had the fear of the Lord like that before.
Wow.
In my life. When he came and he told me about Blessing, to not mess with her. So I stopped talking to her. After I told him yes. Because I didn't want to be under the wrath of the God, yes. So anyways, later we ended up talking again. Yes.
Yeah.
You can share a little bit of that. You want to.
And you guys, should I use the word dated or courted online?
Yes.
For how many months? 5 months.
Yes,
it was like 5 months that we were dating. Yes. And we only knew each other for about 8 months.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that's 8 plus 5?
Yes.
That's about
No, not 8 plus 5.
We knew each other 3 months before, then we dated
3
5
plus
months.
5.
Got married in 8 months of knowing ourselves, but 5 months of actually dating.
Hold on a minute. Within 5 months of talking to each other about it, you guys got married.
Yes.
Yes,
I saw a video online of when you saw each other for the first time.
Yes, sir.
Physically.
Yes.
What was that like?
It was amazing because
That's the video you are seeing on the screen right now. And I just want to look at the video. I mean, I was like, okay, what's going on?
because at that time it was like, everybody else within my ministry, at least, they're all together. They're doing missionary work together. I'm like, man, I mean, I know it's like, okay, it's only 5 months, but still, I mean, I haven't even met. I haven't even met her. But yes, so obviously that time was surreal.
How was it like seeing me?
When you saw her, how was it like?
Actually, when I saw my wife, I got insecure.
Really?
Because I was like, I already know this is a woman of God. I already know the Lord told me to not mess with his daughter. And then I was like, okay, she's too attractive for me. That was, if you want my actual inner thought process, I was like, my wife. So I was like, I don't know how, she just saw me for the first time, oh my goodness. And that's when I had my hat backwards and, I came, how I am, so.
I saw the message to his friend. His best friend told him that he's insecure.
I was like, this girl's too good for me. I hope she doesn't, realize that.
Oh,
man, yes.
Oh, my. I also saw a video of you singing, "Oh, baby,